Very strong brand equity for a premium brand like BYTON. You recognize that on the front. You see, for example, the lamps. It's very small and very precise. It surrounds like what we describe as a smart surface. It is done to display, for example, some charging scenario. And we, of course, when it comes to proportion, kept most of it. Like typically, first of all, the long wheelbase. That's also very good for interior space. We kept the very big wheels. That's what typically designer loves to have. I believe the customer as well. And relatively raked and dynamic proportions, as you can see. That is also important because even if it's an SUV, it needs to be also efficient when it comes to aerodynamic. That's also important with the range. We have, of course, here on the roof some aero fins to add also for aerodynamic performance. You can see on the body side some very clean sculpture, which we were able to do also with some flush door handle. That's also quite untypical and new. You see here, for example, the taillights. They reflect or echo a little bit the front identity. We challenge the technology to the limits because it's barely impossible to get any smaller or more precise, and that gives all in all a very clean yet relatively solid look. That's what we wanted to offer for the car. And of course, the overall attitude stands in comparison with the short car even prouder, even more, let's say, competent. That's also what we wanted to achieve from a design standpoint. But the highlight is, of course, more towards the interior, because we had to integrate, as Daniel already mentioned, the highly innovative user interface. I must say that has been a very big challenge for the design team. That's the first time that a car company goes that far in terms of displaying, bringing digital content into the vehicle. And this old cockpit, if we can still call it a cockpit, is designed to really integrate some future use case, not only nav maps and all these kind of things, but really future scenarios, and it is really designed for future. It is future-proofed. What we try to do also is, of course, create a design that appears to be more roomy than it actually is. It happens like through relatively straight lines, relatively calm, very open. It is also done with the help of a flat floor. You mentioned that, Daniel, before. That's also good for legroom and interior space. That's what all an electric drivetrain can also offer to us designer in terms of car configuration. You can see a couple of like high-tech details on the center part of the IP. These are like camera sensors, which help to monitor, for example, driver attention in case of like autonomous driving scenario. We integrated, of course, some interaction modalities, which are like the touchscreen on in the steering wheel. That's a world premiere. It typically exists in many concept cars, but here, this comes this year for reality into this very car. And on the next picture, that's another shot of the interior, and I must say that's probably one of our favorite pick, because that really looks future now. This is another shot that shows, for example, how the interior would be in the dark driving situation in a night modus. There were many concerns, for example, regarding the driver distraction with the display, and here you can see that we can, of course, program and display different colors, intensities, and this all together combined with the driver tablet and the overall interior look that looks truly modern and future-oriented. But probably what is important is not only what you can see, as you could basically judge. It is very modern and future-oriented, but more important is what you can really do with that, and what will be the experience that the customer will have while on the move into this vehicle. And for that very reason, I would like to call my colleague Andreas, and later then Jeff, who will basically give you a little bit more insight about, let's say, the user experience. So, Andreas.